It's time for another category for our Rocket and Raygun Awards, and we're still looking at all of the best games of the decade because, of course, it is the end of the decade. And today our category is Best Sports Franchise. It's almost impossible to pick specific years of these different games that come out every year. So we're looking at the franchises in totality. Now, before we get into our nominations, we want to hear from the community and hear some of their choices.
My pick for sports franchise of the decade has got to go to Rocket League. Some people will say, hey, you can't pick that, that's not a franchise. Well, it's a sequel to supersonic rocket-powered battle cars. I'm pretty sure that makes it a franchise. And on top of that, it's just such a damn good game. It's the best sports game to come along in years, and they've done so much right in terms of making it feel like a sports game, like a team sports game. It never feels like the game is out of your control. It always feels like you were the one that made the decision and you could have played better. And that is the sign of an excellent sports game.
I don't know where to put this game. It's a sport, I think, certainly, and it's going to be my sports game of the decade, and that's Rocket League. It's soccer or basketball for the depending on which version of Rocket League you're playing, but with cars. And it's a sport, and we're keeping score, and I'm counting it. It's again one of those games that you try it and you play it and you become addicted, and then the next thing you know, you're playing in leagues and you've dropped out of school and you've quit your job and you're playing tournaments for a living. I mean, it's just Rocket League was just one of those kind of games. It just came along and changed everything.
Sports franchise of the decade, I'm gonna have to give it to FIFA. FIFA has managed to stay on top. It has all the licenses, it has all the teams. It created a really interesting story mode. It's gone back to the more street style of soccer with Volta.
FIFA just keeps making itself better and better and better. So I've been growing with the series every single year, and it's the one sports series that I play that you can bank on it always just getting a little bit better. I find with some of the games, I like NHL too, but I find that NHL sometimes takes a step back, then they'll take some things away. So I will keep buying it probably till the day that I die.
Any keeper would be better that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be biased here and I'm gonna go with my sport of choice, but also because, well, they make damn good games, and I'm talking about MLB The Show. It has just never disappointed.
Swing and a line drive.
I still miss MVP baseball, gotta say, but if I can't have that, I'm gonna take MLB The Show. There's really nothing wrong with it. there's just nothing wrong with it for a sports game. And now you're gonna be able to play it everywhere. It's not just gonna be on PlayStation. Yo, Xbox players, rejoice. It's coming.
And we'll have to leave it there as this is strike three, and that will retire the side.
All right, the nominees for Best Sports Franchise of the Decade go to NBA 2K, FIFA, Madden, NHL, and MLB The Show. Incredible franchises here with a tremendous amount of work that has gone into every single year of every single one of these titles. Let's start with MLB The Show, which Sony San Diego recently announced is going to go multi-platform, which is incredible. I guess it's through a relationship between Sony and the MLB folks. They've decided that they want to put their goodness, their fantastic, statement of video game baseball on lots of other machines, which is terrific. That's just great news, and frankly, long overdue, because this game, they work their butt off. So every year, not just new features, but a new aesthetic and new animations and new mini games and new value, new storytelling. Always impressed by the MLB games. The same could be said with FIFA as well, which toyed with lots of different mechanics over this past decade, lots of minutiae with the offensive and defensive controls, an incredible sense of storytelling as well with the FIFA games, where we got to kind of go into the boots of a rising star and see all of the pitfalls that these athletes have to avoid. Consistently, FIFA has delivered, and it starts with EA saying, look, we want to lock up as many exclusive deals with clubs and teams and locations as we can across the world, because Konami's PES franchise is equally fun to play, but it just doesn't have all the goodies. It doesn't have the beautiful soundtrack and all of the worldliness that FIFA has been able to deliver, because it legitimately is one of the biggest games on earth, and EA spends the money to make it a celebration every single year. Madden has been consistent as well, another game that makes EA a tremendous amount of money, and it's not just from the microtransactions. We didn't want to call this the microtransaction award, by the way. I'm not the biggest football fanatic on earth, though, like professional US-based football. I prefer soccer to play and to watch, but I dig the intricacies and the granular development that Madden always presents. The Madden team also put together a pretty damn cool story mode as well. There were lots and lots of fun elements and additions to Madden over this past decade. A tremendous franchise. One of the underdog franchises that I talk about year after year is the NHL team, which is based right here in Vancouver. You know, this is a team that they always nail it in either the first or second year for every console sort of switchover, and then they tweak and add little bits of improvement to every iterative kick that they get at making a new one. And that's exactly what we saw with NHL as it crossed from the PlayStation 3 360 era into PS4, Xbox One era. It's still surprising that there's no NHL game on Switch, by the way. You know, hockey has always been an incredibly accessible sport to play in video game form because of its fluidity and its speed. It's really something to commend them on, that they deliver something that generally pleases tons and tons of hockey fans out there. And I know a lot of hockey fans don't love every single aspect of it, but NHL is an incredible franchise. But the franchise that I'm going to award the sports game of the decade to is NBA 2K. 2K used to publish a whole bunch of sports titles. They were in the mix there with baseball and football. They tried a bunch of different things. They tried hockey for a while too, but then they really kind of pared down and became the basketball house. And I guess they do some wrestling as well, which they're currently having some issues with. But NBA, as aggravating as its slot machine mechanics might be and its microtransactional elements might be, the core of the experience of playing NBA and the fidelity of the experience of playing NBA has just been breathtaking, just absolutely outstanding. And every year there are, additions and improvements and tweaks and new experiments as well with storytelling, working with Hollywood actors and Hollywood directors. Always curious to see, what they've got cooking and what they've got planned for the franchise. Man, it's really hard to look at this product, this basketball video game product, and not be impressed. That is why the NBA 2K franchise is our sports franchise of the decade. We've got a lot of other videos talking about the Rocket and Raygun Award winners. We're looking at the 2019 stuff, of course, the best of the year, but we've also got a lot of other videos on the best of the decade, so make sure you check those out. And thank you so much for watching.